All right, hello and welcome to the Matchday Vlogs match day preview for the upcoming game at the King. If I got that at King Power Stadium at Leicester,
Yeah, that's correct.
is that the
King
Walker
Power
Smith Arena? King Power
Yeah, the
Stadium. There we go.
Walker Bowl. That's what it used to be known as. That was a joke.
And as you can probably already spot, we have a guest from the opposition joining us. Brad, welcome along to the show. We'll be getting into all the details for the game up and coming. We have Jack, as always, in our top record. Sorry, I'm out of breath. I ran to get a can of Coke. That's what I did. No countdown. And I thought I had loads of time, but I didn't. So welcome to everyone for joining us here live on the show. If you've got any comments, any questions, feel free to stick them in the chat section. As I said before, I can't breathe. My goodness. We'll be going through the details for everything coming up in the upcoming game. So without further ado, Brad, welcome along. Now, I like to make an extra effort when we have guests on the show. So before we get to hear your thoughts on the game, in fact, before we get into that, Brad, why don't you tell us a bit about the Leicester channel, what you guys do, what you're about?
Yeah, so we pretty much do what you guys are doing right now. We have our own opposition view. We do previews, European transfer news. Pretty much do the basics of cover for Leicester City. We were just available. We started out. It started out just one person who runs it. That's Chris. He was doing the website thing on Facebook, and then he contacted me and a few others, and we just kind of pieced it together as a team this season and got off the floor. And now you can find us everywhere: Spotify, podcasts, YouTube, and obviously on Pink Scope. We're like a rash. We're everywhere, to be honest with you. So check it out on there.
I can see you're keeping very, very busy. So looking forward to the game on Saturday. I think both teams have had quite similar records over recent games in the league, and we're both in the top half of the table, performing reasonably well. So, Jack, general feelings.
This is the game that I thought was going to be the toughest. After Liverpool, I thought Liverpool was going to be really hard, but I thought this is going to be difficult as well. It's just going to be a long game. I think it's going to be. I can see it being quite dry because it's just going to be two teams that want to go at each other, and that usually cancels each other out.
Yeah,
but I'm not excited for it as I have been for the past few games.
Okay,
because I just get Vietnam flashbacks, and it's just hard, isn't it? It's just hard, but like I say, we've both got really similar records going in. Everything about it to me screams that this match will probably be a draw. But seeing as the last few games have been either way, it's just a really tight game to call, and that makes me really nervous.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think looking at our form going into the game, we haven't been scoring loads of goals recently. So that's one thing that particularly concerns me a little bit in regards to our prowess up front. But we're a hard team to beat, and we're a hard team to break down, which is certainly a far cry from what we once were. So it's just one of those games where I think it's going to be a tight one. I think in terms of our form of late. So I'm going to open this can of Coke now.
Oh, that sounded good though. That did sound good.
Audio.
Sound like it's got some good pop to it in there.
Yes.
That's that high production. One room's got it.
That's definitely not Asda's own, is it? If it's popping like that, that's a classic Coke he's got there.
Not yet sponsored. No in the section below. So yeah, I mean, in terms of our players, in terms of our fitness levels, I don't think we've got anyone extra out injured. Jack, do you know if Romeo's going to be out again, or
I don't know. I keep hearing separate things that he's okay to go and then he's not okay to go. So I'm going to assume he's not going to be there on the weekend, because I've seen more things about Ralph changing the shape to fit Diallo and sort of trying to make Diallo a bit more of a starter in the team.
Yeah.
So I'm going to assume that he's probably going to start. I think the big test at this game is how much our form is here to stay. Like we keep saying, all the games this season have been an improvement on last season. Really, we sort of, we're getting draws where we usually get losses. So this is again one of those 50-50 games. Who can take a hold of it really? And it's just whether our form can continue. If we win this weekend, I think that's again another big step for us. And, all the pictures of those top 7 battling for the title, which you always see James Ward-Prowse on the very end, and I still don't believe it, but I feel like this is one of those wins where we start getting a bit more excited about where we're going to finish.
That was a beautiful thing that Sky Sports put out, where basically it had like the top 6 image, and it adds. Yeah, I saw that as well.
Just little James Ward-Prowse poking his head out on the end there. I'll take wicked free kicks, and that's why I'm here.
Exactly, looking young and fresh.
Exactly.
So, question for you, Brad. In terms of we all know about Jamie Vardy, but who else in the Leicester squad is someone that we should be watching out for in the upcoming game on Saturday? Who's outperforming?
Me personally, I actually did put a poll out through our Facebook page and asking the fans currently who their player of the season was, and it was quite a strong vote, and it was quite a impactful vote with the same 4 or 5 names. I think that the one thing that I like about Southampton this season is they've got a lot of qualities that I appreciate in a football team. There's not just one standout name. There's about 3 or 4. I mean, James Justin, if you don't cope with him on that side and Harvey Barnes is on fire, you're going to struggle on that side. I think that's our dangerous side to get you on, depending on how you line up. I think the worst thing that Southampton could do against us is try to accommodate to hit us on the counter. I've only seen you in highlight packages, so I'm not going to sit here and say I know how you played your football this season, because we all know what certain highlight packages like to dictate when you play bigger sides. That's not naming any names that do that, but I think we could all take a guess at who's favourite in their elite top 6. But if you come out and play defensive against us and try and do that, I think James Justin, Barnes, and if you allow Maddison, if he's fit, or Tielemans to control the midfield, that's where you're going to struggle, because it's all right dealing with someone that you know what can do, like you say, Vardy, but it's the players that, if they turn it on, even at 70% on the day, they can turn a goal out of nothing. In the last couple of weeks, Leicester have developed as a squad that have struggled against a side like Fulham that put 10 men behind the ball and pinched it down in front. And rightly so, they got the results they deserved on that day. I'm not disagreeing and saying they didn't deserve to lose them games or Fulham didn't deserve to win. But we've also now found a way to do that in an instant where it's bang, 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 and it's there and it's in your net. I think one of our goals against Stoke in the FA Cup, yes, championship opposition, but we know Stoke of old that they're trying to find used to be a sit back, lump it forward, hit you hard. The Tony Peel list came from Stoke City, didn't it? They played there. And I felt against Stoke, when it was struggling, we never seemed to panic, because all of a sudden it was on the left, Justin killed it in, 1-0, and we broke them down. And we've started to do that a lot more to teams like yourself. I think we've had one shock result, one expectant result against the big boys that are in the top 6 of us, Everton, yourselves, Villa, Liverpool, and Man City. In the fact that we probably, with the shock result against Man City, the expectant one is against Liverpool. I'm the most excited for, and I'm the most worried of us dropping point, because I really think, like you said, Jack, that this is a statement game for whichever side wins it.
Yeah,
we've got the past. We've won one. We've got the experience. We've got the right technical manager that. It was in Scotland, but he did well beforehand when he was in England with Liverpool. And, well, you can be dependent with his Liverpool career, but they did finish second under him. We've probably got better credentials than yourselves at this point, but there's no reason that the squad that did it for us, you kind of fit that pattern. It's not built on superstars, but it's built on hard workers. And that's why it's good to see the likes of yourselves, Everton as well, I'd include them, and even though the Midlands, Villa being up there with us, being in that European spot come January, February, it's very impressive. And I tip my hat to you as a side this season, especially going back to your massacre that we gave you last time out.
We got to 11.
You brought it up yourselves. I have to myself.
We got to 11 minutes and 6 seconds
Fine.
without. We haven't really mentioned.
got to double figures.
As a Southampton channel, that's what we do. We generally
man.
count the clock on a match event before one of the commentators mentions that result.
Yeah.
But of course, the last 2 times we played at your ground, we've won 2-1 on both occasions, hasn't it?
Yeah, and I think you're one of the most consistent to beat us at the King Power. I remember. I mean, I've only been supporting obviously since I was a kid in the 90s. Leicester. I remember like the mid to late 90s. But I always remember us struggling against you. We were very backwards and forwards in the league results. So you've never been an easy opposition for us to do. So, you know, that apart from that freak result, the game aside, it's always been a very competitive game. So I'm hoping we come out on top, obviously, but I can see it again being a very competitive game to watch.
Unless the sort of side that's better on the road, I mean, that's something that us Southampton fans are quite used to, you know, sort of performing very, very well on the road. I think we had the most away wins in the league outside of Man City and Liverpool last season. So Leicester a similar kind of outfit where you generally perform better on the road as opposed to at home.
Yeah, we have. In the fact that we've only ever lost once at home. You know, we've only dropped 4 points away from home this season, and that was against Liverpool and Crystal Palace. But I think that focus stems so much on the fact of how awful our away form was until then. I think when we had our first away game of the season, which I believe was against West Brom on the opening day of the season, that was our first away win in 13 games. And obviously to correct that is great. So to get for me, as much as I obviously am expecting and hoping to get a win because we are at home, to keep that balance of not losing at home and sorting our home record out whilst our away record's holding strong, I'd be happy with a result against you guys. I'd be happy with a draw to keep that record steady and at home, as well as the impressive away one that we've got going.
I mean, it's the same sort of vibe here. You look at our results in the past few games, and it's not a lot of losses. And just to stay in that position of, all right, we still haven't lost in a while. I think the last loss was against City, which is again like that's a loss that you're always going to take, aren't you? It's a loss against City. It's great. It's fun when you win, but it's like we've been saying. It's that sort of. It's just going to be a really rough game. I think it's just going to can go either way, and I don't know what it's going to be like. It's just a classic it's a classic Premier League game, isn't it? It's Southampton. It's Leicester Southampton. It could be anything.
I think it's a fun one for the neutral because I think both teams play good football, and I think that's one thing that both sides has been complimented on by the likes of Match of the Day, which will happily show us for 2 minutes at the end of a program. Would they at least will say, you know, they're an exciting team to watch, and I think that's something that a lot of people are going to be tuning in as neutrals to watch this showcase because you know both sides are playing very well at the moment. But Jack, let me put to you: do you see this being a tight affair or quite a high scoring game?
That is the thing. Like you don't know. It could be. Like form says, I'm going to get. What my score prediction will eventually be will be 2-1 to us because that's what sort of it. If you look at the history, that's just kind of what it feels like. It will be a tight game, but both teams are going to score. It's whoever can get that second goal or whoever can get that first goal. I don't think it's going to be, or one team will score and they just won't stop scoring. And I would love that to be us. It'd be fantastic. That'd be when I really start going crazy. Is if there's a big win. If it's anything over 3 goals for us, you won't be able to talk to me for a week. I'll be so loud.
Exactly. Who knows? If
but
we hit
in reality, I think it is going to be that sort of tight game of right. Don't let them score because both team have got strikers going forward who love putting it away. Yeah.
I think if we hit double figures, Ralph will be crying again for all the right reasons. So that'd be good. Brilliant. No, all sounds good. All sounds very, very good. So looking forward to the game. Very, very excited. I think it's about time we got round to our score prediction section of the show. So as always, we do like to let our guests go first. And as promised earlier, I've prepared, or have I frozen?
Is he frozen?
Have I frozen again?
Oh no! You're
Oh no,
I'm
you got
coming
moved
back.
then.
I'm coming back slowly but surely.
One person in this chat has got very fancy camera equipment and a high-profile setup, and it's a dude that's freezing.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm going off a potato of a phone in bad lighting, and I'm the one that's.
Mate,
Exactly.
he's got a green screen. Like,
Look at that.
come on.
Look at that.
That's not really the stadium back there. That's a,
Oh, well,
I don't
you
want to
see,
ruin.
before me,
Exactly.
I'm going to have some more money for coming in here, lads. That's not on that.
So considering we like to do these high budget effects, I've prepared a little something before you give your score prediction here today, Brad. So here we go. Before you give your score prediction, we'd all like to know what does the fox say? I'm so sorry.
How long have you been working on that for?
I'm so happy. I'm so happy it didn't work.
Oh,
the best thing that could have happened, really.
Oh dear. Well, on that note, now
if you want to sum up Southampton as a club, it's us. It looks nice, and then it does some of the work.
Yeah, I'll give you that much. Oh dear.
It was supposed to be 2. Did you see that 2 seconds? Or did it come through? Did it come through?
It came through to me. I saw it.
It was
it's all good fun. It's all good fun. I'll send you the clip so you can use it on the channel. I'm sure you guys will use it again. So,
I'm sure
Brad,
I'll find a way to put it in. Yeah.
What are you predicting for Saturday's game? What are you going to go for?
I think it's going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be a close one. My head says 2-2, but my heart's going to stick its neck on the line and say 3-1 Leicester. And I think if he's fit for you guys, I'm sure Ings will get score past us, and I'll go with Vardy to get a couple for us and 3-1.
There we go, 3-1. Brad, you're sounding quite similar to us, actually. You know, you can't predict the draw. That's something that we could never do on this channel. It's almost like draw,
it's almost like you might as well predict them to lose if you're going for a draw, because you're not backing your team to go out and
absolutely.
Exactly. Look at that.
I refuse to take draws on this show, but apparently I've got to be nice to guests. So you've done it, mate.
I passed the test. I'm in. I'm great.
So, Jack, you kind of alluded to it earlier. Brad going for 3-1. What are you going to go for on Saturday?
No, now he said 3-1. I best go 4-1. But no.
The egos come out there, lads. I've got the egos out now.
8.
It's 5-1's coming now. 5-1's on his way.
In reality, it would be great. I would love to see a 3-0 game where it's an Ings hat trick and a Vardy hat trick, just so we can all be like, "Hey, look how good we're all doing!" And we're just a nice write-off game for everyone. But
it's like we're having a rivalry without the rivalry, isn't it? We're all egging on for a bit of revenge here and there, but it's like there's no rivalry between Leicester and Southampton, and I can shut up a bit.
It's because it got to a point in that game where it was like, cool, mate, stop it, they're dead now. Let's you pity us a little bit.
Yeah.
I think I actually posted.
You didn't, by the way. You didn't stop when we were dead.
I think I actually posted that meme up when it happened. I went, Leicester are just not alike the Simpsons. I just posted that up because I did feel bad for you, but it was funny.
That kid was me at the stadium, just screaming, stop it, just in tears.
I felt like Homer Simpson's through the fucking sorry, swearing, through the hedges. No, don't say anything.
No, mate, there was no hedges to save me. Just away fans.
Watching on an iPad in Greece on a Lilo getting tipsy. Anyway, so Jack, what are you going to be going for?
I'm going for 2. I'm going to go for 2-1.
Okay.
I'm sticking with it because I just think it's going to be like we're saying over. It's going to be a tight game. It's going to be hard, but Ings is going to do it.
Ings and
you know what? Ings and Ward-Prowse. I'm going a cheeky free kick. Madison's going to absolutely whiff a free kick, and then we're going to go down the other end and see a good free kick taker.
Look at that! Look at that!
I can't argue with that this season. He's not hit one yet.
That all sounds good. And everyone in the chat section, stick in your score predictions, and I'll get to you right after I've said mine. And I'm going to be very, very straightforward. Exactly the same as Jack. 2-1. I think it's going to be 2-1. I'd also say it's going to be in an Ings and a Ward-Prowse free kick, but I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be a particularly easy 2-1. So it's whoever scores first, I think, is going to get the. Obviously, that's a pretty stupid thing to say. They're going to get a head start in the game, but it will be that kind of affair. So hopefully, it will be us in getting the goals. So let me have a look here on the chat and see what we've got in the room. So we've got Saints 194. Head says 2-1 Leicester. Hart says 2-1 Saints. There we go. Okay.
It should never. Your head should never say that. It's always a loss. It's always a draw at best in your head.
It is. And this Hige Life is going 2-1 Saints. So definitely 2-1 to a popular scoreline here. It's kind of. It used to be our safe bet, didn't it?
Yeah, it used to be like the one above a draw, which is what it is. That is what it is.
Yeah, it is. So we're both going for a 2-1 with a Ings and a Ward-Prowse free kick. We don't have anyone else injured at the moment aside from Vestergaard, Gineppo.
Yeah.
Is Shadham still out, or is it?
No,
was a concussion,
yeah, I think Shay's fine. It was just that concussion after that. He got booted in the head, which even now I'm like, why has no one looked at that? He literally just got kicked in the head. It was.
VAR.
It's not even like people are still annoyingly they still talk about that Virgil van Dijk injury. Which they're still going on about it, but no one's even mentioned him getting kicked in the face.
That's quite something. High also meant Redmond's still out. That's a very good point. Redmond is probably still likely out. So, is there any current omissions from the Leicester squad at the moment, Brad? Have you got any injuries?
Yeah. Dennis Pratt pulled up against Stoke, and it's a bad one. He's out for 3 months. I don't know if that's including recovery time and he'll be able to play after 3 months. If not, that's probably him done for the season, unless we get an extended run in the Cups, which is a bit unfortunate. It's quite unfortunate, actually, because he can play many a role in the middle of our field. So it's actually a big loss to us. I don't think it was too much a loss to many of the fans, although some wanted to see him this season with the talk about Vardy and who's going to replace him. But Slimani's completely moved away. I'm not too bothered myself, personally. He didn't work here at Leicester, and there was something off about it once he dropped out of favour at the team. But some fans did actually surprisingly still want to see him this season play, but he's now gone to Lyon. And Benkovic has gone to our sister club in the Belgian league, OF Hyven. But to my knowledge, apart from the usual links of that Celtic striker Eduardo to us, that's the latest we've got for injury troubles and players missing, not being available for the game. But I think we're fairly fit apart from that. I don't know if Ricardo's been back in training yet to even be in the selection, but he's not too far away from what we were told by Brendan. So yeah, we're fairly fresh, apart from Pratt's probably the most immediate concern to it in the first team, but we're fairly fresh. All things considering.
Pretty much, aside from Pratt, then kind of like a fully fit squad, you'd say.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Pereira's not really been there anyway. And his return was, short-lived. But yeah, Pratt's probably the only first-team casualty we've got that's going to maybe bear a miss on us this season, because Maddison seems to not be shaking off that injury as well as he has done, because he's missed a few games since his full return. So we're hoping, obviously, Maddison or Tielemans doesn't get a long-term injury. Then we might struggle. But yeah, thankfully we've got Ricardo coming back soon, and like I said, we kind of got to hope, unless indeed he can do a job there as well, which he's done at centre back. So I don't know why. I mean, he needs to go in goal, and he's completed the set for where he's played for in this team. So yeah, just Pratt in regards to the first team for injuries.
Yeah. I think Ward-Prowse is probably the same for us. If he goes in goal and maybe plays at centre back, he would have done a lot. So yeah, it's great to have a player like that. Great to have a player in the squad that can do that as well. So that's all good. Any final thoughts, Jack?
Just one. I've been looking at. Have you been looking at the any of our January transfer rumours?
I felt it's been a little quiet. I don't know what you're feeling.
I think every team's been a bit quiet, but the one I've been hearing a lot of is apparently we're looking at loaning Damari Gray for the rest of the season. Talk to me about Damari Gray.
Why do we want Damari Gray?
And why do you not want him?
You want Damari Gray because for the low price of his Uber fare, you'll get a right winger to sit on your bench. Because honestly, do you remember Ravel Morrison at Manchester United and Alex Ferguson talked him up as the best youngster there if he showed you potential?
Yeah.
I feel like we got him.
Okay.
Because I'm not saying he hasn't got the talent, because he does. But he's got the attitude where if he could have 90 good touches and 2 bad touches, and them 2 bad touches seem to affect him for 6 weeks. He paints the most frustrated picture. If you want to try and shake him out his funk and Raul Hassel can do a job with him, by all means, you're welcome to him.
He's quite a young player though, isn't he? Is he still quite
23,
young?
I think I saw.
Okay.
Yeah, and when we got him at 18, and people sometimes forget that, they think he's a bit older than he is. He's only about 23, possibly 24 at the best. But it's frustrating when you say now that, you know, Brendan's probably only just come out and said it, but it's probably been in the works in the summer that they were trying to get rid of Gray anyway, because for some silly reason, the Tottenham links won't go away with him. I just don't see it. He's going to be one of them where he's going to have to find a perfect manager that focuses on him, because he's so temperamental. And I used to work in the club, and that's not really much I'll say on the matter, but he was one around the training ground that you noticed if he had a bad game or a bad couple of touches. He just can't. I don't know what it is. I know players suffer with it, and it's something that, you know, it's not like I wouldn't say it's his bad attitude. I just think once his confidence takes a slight dent, it's like a free fall. If Hasselhutten's a man to shake him out of it, then by all means, best of luck. If you take him alone and he moves on to you. But right now for Leicester, I wouldn't give him to a Premiership, because he's not up to Premiership standard. He's not playing at it.
Well, there we go, Jack. That's answered our question.
How?
But I think, you know, you say that about, you know, having a bad attitude. I mean, we've got a few players like that in our squad. I mean, the likes of Obafemi has been mentioned as being a bit of a bad apple in terms of his attitude. That
striker you guys had that was like that? Didn't you guys get a striker who scored on his debut and then never scored again? He got pictured in like some really strange gear.
There's a few of them for us. There's Danny Osvaldo, the Italian
that
dude.
Was it, yeah. Osvaldo. Yeah. His name
scored an absolute beast against City.
Yeah.
And then he retired to do music. And if you want to laugh, go check out his band.
You can't question that. You can't question that.
He's like a Johnny Depp lookalike now. It's great. Some good stuff. Some good stuff.
So, you know, who knows? It could be a player that we could work on. I mean, I think also Jan Valery, I was kind of put into that bracket. He was looking like a promising right back position, and then suddenly he wasn't featuring in the side, and he was on the bench, but we could guarantee that he would never get an appearance. And then he came on against Liverpool last game and nearly scored.
And he was up top as well, which makes no sense.
Which really baffled us, because we're thinking this is a player who's on his way out for a loan move into Europe, and now he's coming on.
I think that's the thing that's got me in that egotistical swing. It's like, yeah, we beat Liverpool and we put our really awful right back up top.
Right.
We're wicked.
Yeah.
We're doing something right.
Maybe he did a Spurs with Bale. Maybe your managers tried him in that position and switched him up. Maybe it's we were the ones playing Bale in the wrong position, I guess. That was our fault. Yeah. Yeah, that's how you conned them. That's how you got them. You thought you got away with it as well.
Yeah,
just keep him back there in that position. But you know, it's strange when players do go on to play for other clubs. I mean, a lot of people have said that about Højbjerg, that now he's gone to Spurs, he looks like a completely reinvented player. And I know, Jack, you say, you know, that's been a great deal because we weren't really making the most of him in terms of the position we were trying to get him to play. And now he's playing old school football with Jose Mourinho. It's all the good. But I don't know. I was just watching a little bit of him earlier, and I don't think he's been doing amazing. He's been doing okay, but I wouldn't say he's a reinvented player.
I just think it's been ages since Spurs had a decent midfielder, so I think it's just they've just got someone that's doing a job now. It's always just they've always just had holes in the game, so now they've got someone that's doing a job. It's all right. We've got Romeo and Diallo. We're all good.
Yeah. But Diallo impressed me a bit better in that Liverpool game. I think the more I watched the highlights back, and I actually appreciate some of the stuff he didn't do, and rather than sort of waiting for him to make a mistake, going, those kind of moments. But
just didn't do it. Just didn't do it.
Yeah, but they're all capable of that. Even the greats do it, don't they? So they all learn.
So we've had a comment here in the chat section, which I think is a pretty bold question. I'm going to stick it up so you can all can see it. We could probably debate this till the cows go home. But in terms of, I think they're two very similar creative players who have scored some unbelievable goals in their time. I think we're both going to say the player of our club. But Jack, any different? Would you swap? Would you take a swap?
No, I don't think either of us take a swap. I think my opinion is
partnership.
Yeah, imagine the partnership.
I'd put them up front together. I really would.
Imagine we'd win that World Cup, and nobody would question it. But I think the way to look at it is, in my opinion, Danny Ings is a better striker, but they're going to make the movie of Jamie Vardy's life, aren't they? So that's that's the way you're gonna have to look at it. Like, if I would rather Danny Ings in my squad, but
it's an incredible.
I feel like there's one man there that's going down in history a bit more. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
I remember watching that when he was scoring. He scored every game for how many was it? Like 10 games or something like that. He scored on the trot, beat Van Nistelrooy's record.
11. Yeah, it was 11 games.
11.
Unbelievable. And I think every neutral was just like willing him on and going, "Oh, it'd be great if he actually beat it."
I remember when you beat us that season, like the second time around when it was really happening. I was like, "Yeah, go on, beat us." It was. Yeah, I think I was just like, "Yeah, this is great."
Really went on to win the league. Yeah, kind of similar.
I can't wait to look back at Liverpool's title the exact same way. Just the one. Just
that one.
I don't really quite see that happening. So we can't really answer that question. I think it's a fairly obvious one.
I'm not swapping Jamie Vardy. I'm sorry. I mean, if anyone ever does want to check out our show, because we'll do a preview with obviously with you guys on ours. So if you do check us out, guys that are watching in the comments, we my words went. I mean, we talk about that, and Jamie Vardy is just, I'm not one for match stats. I'm never one for that. And he likes to wind me up about it because I just say it doesn't matter the shots on target. It's the ones that are at the back of the net. I'm never one to care about them stats because they don't read a true game more times than not.
Right.
But if you went on stats like Jack said, you can't hide from the fact that while they're similar in what they do on the pitch and how good they are at finishing, you just can't hide behind the records. And unfortunately, why Danny Ings paints a pretty picture, Jamie Vardy paints a Premier League winner, a Golden Boot winner, a record holder, and that's just purely why I think if you put this out on a neutral, because Danny Ings has done it only recent in the last couple of seasons, he's really hit his form. I know he's managed to score goals before, but it's only been, would I be right in saying in the last couple of seasons he's really got going with his figures?
Well, he lost the Golden Boot to Vardy last season, I think.
And that was the first time his name was really up there in the light, wasn't it? In the big talking point, on a collective for your club, he's done really well. But I just think on a neutral point, because I like what Jack stated and all the things that Vardy's achieved individually and with the club he's been at, you're outshining Vardy on Ings on that basis. But I wouldn't change, and I wouldn't change them for the world, even if they didn't have the accolades that they've won, because I just think he's a better striker than Ings.
This conversation changes completely when we win the league this season. That's all I'm saying.
yeah.
Well, did I say that earlier?
Yeah, but then I could be like a Spurs fan. I can turn around and say, yeah, but Vardy won the Golden Boot.
Yeah, that's
exactly how it works.
But
you win the league and we'll take third place.
I you know what? Imagine if I would love living in that world where I'm arguing with Leicester fans about that. That'd be amazing. Wouldn't care anymore.
Say 194.
Yeah, but then we could join forces in European nights when it comes to it as well.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
but that's all. Imagine that. That's all I want to see. That Leicester Southampton Champions League final, the most friendly Champions League final you're ever going to go to. Just like, can you believe we're here?
Yeah.
Can you imagine the sponsorship?
It's the fairest way. Let's just go straight penalties. You don't want no injuries for next year, lads.
So there we go. Say 194. Just mentioned that Ings doesn't get the penalties Vardy gets. Vardy did get a lot of spot kicks in the Golden Boot last season, but he won the Golden Boot.
So that's my argument. With VAR, that's one thing you can't really question too much. I mean, I think the only free penalty we've had this season, which I could say was a bit dubious, was the one against Wolves, because I believe it was handball, and you're judging that on distance. But the rest, you can't blame him for doing his job. It's nice to see a striker take a bloody penalty. I never understood when defenders and midfielders and third substitutes come on just to take a penalty. I'm like, you're striker. Surely his job's to score goals is what we're paying him for and giving him a bonus for. So
exactly. I remember Danny Ings scored his penalty when he came back from injury, and it was such a great penalty. But Mike was so disgusted by it because it was so hard and like quite a dangerous. Like, it's like if he missed that was really going to miss. You were so offended by it.
Which one was that?
It was the penalty against when he came back from injury this season, the first time. I can't remember who it was against, and he absolutely belted it into the side netting.
Oh, I do remember. Yeah,
and Mike was just so taken. It was beautiful, but
it was. But we've missed a few. And it's got to the stage where we were like, do you know, I'd rather have a Ward-Prowse free kick on the edge of the box than the penalty, because it's actually, it was against Brighton. So yeah, it was but it was exciting. But we won it under dubious circumstances, and I think any penalty given in the early part of the season due to handball was incredibly dubious. But it appears that they've straightened things out a little bit in that regard. So let's hope for no VAR controversies in the upcoming game.
It's not VAR controversies, it's bad refereeing.
There's that as well. That doesn't help.
It is. It's been pretty tough. Cool. Well, brilliant. Well, Brad, thanks so much for joining us here on the show. I'll be putting all the details for Leicester Till I Die in the comment section below, so go and check that out. Links to all socials. Anything else you'd like to plug whilst you're live on air with us, Brad?
No, I just want to say thanks for having us on. It's been great having a chat and a nice laugh with you. And all I'll say is, after we give you a kicking tomorrow, don't invite me on because I'll be too busy laughing. And after that, you can have a good season.
That'll be a fun away day. We can actually get all this nonsense.
It will be. But honestly, you guys, apart from when you play us, have a great season, because it would honestly, even if it was in Europa League, it'd be great to see the likes of, we're born and raised underdogs, aren't we? So I think if you take the rivalries aside out of it, it'd be nice to see the likes of, Villa, yourselves, and even Everton and whatnot up there coming in the season. So as long as we can get 6 points off you can do whatever you like.
We'll go back to an old school Europa League kind of t-shirt. Yeah, that'd be kind of nice.
Yeah,
brilliant, excellent stuff. Well, Jack, thanks as always for joining us. Brad, thank you so much. Thanks to everyone in the chat section. And we will of course be doing our live and watch along and post match show. Well, hopefully we'll still be smiling. But let's hope for a good game. And I think we'll leave it there. So thanks again for everyone joining us. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And we will see you all in the next one. And I'm not going to do the outro because last time I did the outro, system crashed. We didn't realize we were still on air, and it was embarrassing. So we're just going
to. I didn't say anything wrong though, did I?
You didn't say anything wrong.
I was complimenting the guest.
No one said anything.
And offending you.
But it was rather funny as I had to leave the studio, come back in the studio and explain that we're still live in there. Anyway, it was awkward. And as a result, I've made the end of this one quite awkward as well. So once again, thanks to everyone joining us, and we will see you in the next one. All right.